Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on January 8th, 2023 at approximately 4:28 p.m. PST. Well, welcome aboard, everybody. Shadow. Technically, you're in a little ahead of the gold, considering you beat me into the room. But welcome aboard. I'll have to figure out a different medal for that one. But that being said, glad you could join us. I've looked back over some of your videos, and I'll tell you, you've got some phenomenal work that you're doing on the figures and what have you. I don't know if these were new videos or old ones, to be honest. But I figure, I came here to this world for one primary reason, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, the problem is most of us have been taught that we are supposed to fear everything. Okay, now, to me, this doesn't make a lot of sense. My father's biggest complaint to me, in one sense, he says, the only thing that bothers me about the metaphysical world is that you've got absolutely no fear of it. The real world, the one where all the people interact, that I've got some pretty severe holdups on. And let's see, have we got this? Probably not. So who do we got here? Cliff, welcome aboard. And you come in with the silver today. Hopefully this comes in. Oh, look at that. It's even up and running. Nice little change. So we bring that up, shut the volume down on it. And what do we got? Come on. Where are you? There we go. Now it's just got to kick in. And we kill the sound. Well, that is definitely one of the complexities. And, like Cliff is just saying here, that one of the complexities of civilization is that each culture represents their unique domestication of humans. Can we all just get along? I love the concept there, Cliff. This is exactly the issue I'm looking to bring back to the world. Okay, welcome aboard, Chad. You are in with the bronze. From what I understand, and I do not watch hockey, okay, but there are certain things you really can't avoid. From my standpoint, and we have Raven coming in with honorable mention. Hockey is a real big thing to a lot of people, from what I gather, and I don't know scores and what have you, so I got over that pretty quick. But from what I gather, there was something really big went down with the Canadian hockey team as far as their wins go. Now, lots of you out there know more about it. I get chastised for it. I am Canadian, but do I pay any attention to hockey? No, but I do know that they wear skates and they run around chasing a little black puck, and that's pretty much the extent of it. And that's nothing against them. You're dealing with phenomenal athletes. But, the reality of it is this. There are phenomenal people in every walk of life. And, I absolutely concur with Cliff here. It's really a simple issue. Can we not just get along? Back in the 60s, the Beatles came out with a song that said, "Give peace a chance." Okay. And really, it boils down to this. If we choose to treat each other the way we desire to be treated, this world will become a much better place in which to live, a much more comfortable one. Unfortunately, we are being taught across the globe, in every walk of life, how to fear virtually everything. Now, I have never understood the purpose of this. Okay, I really haven't. Because from my standpoint, if you live your life in fear, you are going to have a major complication. Okay, and you're going to miss out on a staggering number of things. Some of the ones that you'll miss out on are the negative ones. Absolutely. And negative things do happen. But the reality is, look around the globe. Look at any color of people, any income bracket. Look at any religious belief. If people are happy, they smile. If they're upset, they frown or they cry. If they're hungry, they look for something to eat. If they're thirsty, they look for something to drink. These are all common things that everybody has in common. The reality is one day we are all going to die, but the thing you got to look at, or that it would be wise to look at in my eyes, is are you going to leave this world in a better state than it was in when you got here? Or are you going to have chosen to complicate things and make things miserable for people around you? Myself, like I've mentioned before, there is no doubt in my mind, I make every single individual I meet happy. Some of them absolutely ecstatic. And the reality of it is, the way I do that, most people, some people I make happy by showing up. Most people I make happy by leaving. And yet, I was told one day that it is very rude if you're in a group with a conversation going on, and that conversation drifts away from you, so you're no longer included. Okay, I was asked how I deal with that, and I go, well, if that's the situation, I'll just wander off and go and talk to other people. And I was told that's extremely rude. You have to tell people you're leaving. And I'm like, they're talking to other people. They're occupied with people other than me. Why do I need to interrupt them to tell them I'm leaving? So no, I am not the person to talk to regarding social etiquette. Where did my book go? Not over there. Of course, I can't see it when I'm looking for it. Probably because I put it over here. Yep. Nope, that's only part of it. Just looking for what I was working on. That's not it either. And of course, the book that I'm seeking is not right here where I can find it. Why? I don't know. So if I seem a little confused, it's only because I am. And since I can't do much with it, you have a choice. We're still very early in 2023. So you have a choice. Okay. We can either let this world continue on the path it's on, continue living in fear, continue broadcasting that fear, and, telling people how important it is to be afraid. Okay. Or, this is what we're looking for, or we can start looking and going, okay, yes, there are negative things that happen, but what are the positive things that we are bringing into 2023? Now, I would love to hear this from the people from you guys out there in the chat room. What is one thing you feel you have brought, that you have started in 2023 that is a good change in your eyes? Okay, for me, it's real simple. JCL, glad you could join us. For me, it's very simple. I came into this year going 2022, I made some pretty serious mistakes. And I call them mistakes, as well, frankly, they were stupid. I did things I knew full well were not going to work. Okay, and I knew full well if I didn't get on them, they were going to backfire. So I came into 2023 with a real simple philosophy. I am going to take my life, and no, that came out really bad. I am not going to take my life. I am going to turn around and make certain I focus on positive changes, on reshaping my own outlook on life in order to get things to happen. Let's see here. I'm just looking. Cliff has just asked, doesn't third-party law, more than two humans getting along, doesn't third-party law, more than two humans getting along, can exacerbate conflict into conflict? Wherever there is more than two humans interacting, including future repercussions. Crave Dog, glad you could join us. I am so glad to hear that. Well, I am so glad to hear that, Crave Dog. Addictions are a royal pain in the neck. Okay. And if you've got a better handle on them, this is something to give yourself an absolute pat on the back for. Okay. So, from my standpoint, I'm far more focused on getting on top of the things that I have to get done. Terminating procrastination. Okay. Net result, I've absolutely, in a dominant fashion, claimed control over my business where I'm going to make it grow. If you've got an addiction, okay, the first thing you have to realize, Frank, because I've had them, okay, the first thing that is absolutely imperative is to go, that is my addiction and it's my responsibility to act in order to override it. Now, rest assured, some addictions are harder on average than other ones to break. But for the person with the addiction, there is no functional difference between alcoholism and overeating, okay, or for that matter, sleeping. For the person with the addiction that is striving to change it, there is no functional difference. Oh, fantastic. The reality, the Raven, curiosity. I realize you're teaching. Okay. Are you teaching a specific grade or is it more of a broadband thing? The reality of it is we have to take a look, or it would be wise to take a look at how we can help this world move forward. Okay. I mean, we can leave it the way it is. And we can certainly buy into what so many organizations and so-called spiritual guides tell us to believe in. We can believe that absolutely everything is going to fall apart. And you're more than welcome there, Crave Dog. The reality is we can focus on these things and we can buy into, the world's going to crash and we're going to have another depression. I will tell you something about depressions, and I'm referring to the financial depression, the societal depression that people talk about. I will put it to you this way. Depressions do happen. Finances do get restricted. But the people that are really struggling day to day, and most of you, and a lot of you fall into that category, the people that are struggling to stay on top of the game day by day, just to keep a roof over your head. Okay, these people never notice the so-called depression. It really boils down to, well, we had to struggle for lunch yesterday, and it's still looking the same today. Yesterday, today's Sunday, Friday. Okay, Friday Saturday I went out. Okay, so Saturday I went out. I had a little bit of money left over from last year. So I said, don't scrap it. I'm having one last guest. Okay, and I took a couple of people out to dinner. Okay, got home out to lunch. Got home from that, and because I have decided that I am going to focus and bring my business, bring Inner Voice Enterprises into the spotlight and start making things happen. I came home from dinner, I came home from supper, and immediately generated the income to replace what I spent on supper. All except, I think, $1.90. Okay, so I mean, this is what we've got to look at. You can decide you're going to continue with the struggle, or you can do what I did. As a matter of fact, do what I'm doing. I just walk over here. Is that what I'm looking for? No, that's not this one. Where did I put it? Well, of course, things aren't where they belong. Isn't that normal? what I'm looking for is something that needs to be written on, and unfortunately, apparently things are not as organized as I'd like, but that's okay. Whoop. One of these. Yes, I'm walking around in circles a little, seem to be a little scattered, but that's not an illusion. I really am. You know, but I did figure it out. And I don't know what I did with that and don't really care at this point. What have we got here? Yeah, the sad part is, when you're looking at minimum wage, and this is a message to those of you that have your own business. If you take a look at what you're paying your staff, minimum wage is a great, minimum wage, quite frankly, is pointless if you're not giving people enough money to work with. And if you're forcing them to stay put. Way too many companies, what they do is they go, I'm going to jump your schedule all over the place, and I'm not going to pay you enough to live on, but I'm going to make it so you cannot get another job. And then they turn around and wonder why staff doesn't stick around. That is an excellent way of looking at it, Raven. When you bring up the idea of feng shui, the one thing I discovered is all the books that are written on feng shui, or at least all the ones I came across, indicate you set your house up with certain things in the northeast section, in the northeast corner, certain things on the west wall, this sort of thing. Okay, where they pick a definitive compass point. Now, they're designed for Eastern philosophy. And I might be wrong on this because Feng Shui is not my forte by any stretch. But what I did come to realize myself is that if people are striving to follow Feng Shui, you gotta understand it's built on Eastern culture. And Eastern culture is completely built on, their whole culture is built around Feng Shui. And with that in mind, you can put things on the north wall consistently. In Western culture, this is not the way it works. But the principle is still right. This is why I've got all my financial workings right here, right in the heart and right in the brain of both my home and my house, and for that matter, my business. Okay, but I keep all of my financial records right here, including my cash box for petty cash down on a shelf here. But it's all in this one corner, so that all of the financial focus, all of the logic that runs my household is right there. See, the unfortunate part here is when we're looking at this, Feng Shui is great. The one thing I found, and it works like a charm from my standpoint, when you combine Feng Shui with communication lines, with natural communication lines, you can absolutely bring the prosperity levels in your own home up on track. Absolutely agree with you there, Feng Shui. And Feng Shui, my apologies there, Raven. Absolutely, I agree with you. When you use Feng Shui in order to enhance your own life, in order to help get you organized and find a sense of energetic balance, it can work wonders. The only caution there, and YJ, I love the tattoo work. I would never put it on my own personal body. Okay, as a matter of fact, I wouldn't put it on anybody's. But do you really want me hanging onto a tattoo gun? Picture what happens if I try and hang on to a tattoo gun. Works great for dot art if you could draw, but the reality of it is, Feng Shui can help you really get focused and really get the energy moving in the right direction. It is simply another tool, much like the dream boards and the lists that I've talked about multiple times. Even people's belief or people's focus on astrology and numerology, All of these things work in conjunction with the other. And this is what people have to realize. It's the same with any of the spiritual paths out there. When you compare them all, when you bring them all together, they all work in conjunction, as does the so-called modern medicine, your naturopathic approaches, your herbalistic approaches. All of these things work towards helping get your body physically in good shape. But again, it's going to require focused effort. Success really boils down to belief plus focused effort equals success. In other words, whether you believe you can do something or you believe you can't, either way, you're likely going to prove yourself right. Now, there are some very definitive, extenuating circumstances there. There was an African shaman that believed wholeheartedly that his belief in his immortality would protect him, or more to the point, his belief that his God would protect him from bullets. Well, frankly, he believed it so strongly he convinced everybody around him, got somebody to shoot him, and well, guess what? His belief didn't belie reality. The same applies if you believe that, if you wholeheartedly believe that you can fly. I strongly recommend, if you're going to believe that, if you're going to pursue that, start off on the ground and take off. Do not jump from anywhere. Okay. I'm just looking at this. YJ has said, this year I'm also getting a bunch of meaningful tattoos, and to support my daughter, becoming good at it. I'm giving her the chance to practice. So I got her all the equipment and ink to do them. Now, there is a reason, especially if you like the tattoos. One day, YJ, I would love to see some of the work that she's been doing. Because, new tattoo artists have to come from somewhere. They've got to learn sometime, in some fashion. Absolutely. And the thing that I found in Raven, you're the one that's much more versed in Feng Shui than I am in this one. But I've been told that if you don't have a healthy plant where you pay your bills, if you put one of two things, either we'll stick to the plant thing. I was told if you put a small packet of rice in your cash box, it will help draw more finances to you. The same thing applies to citrine and malachite. Okay. These are just some of the things that you can do. And again, it really boils down to this. If I believe in my heart that putting this felt pen in my cash box is going to help enhance my finances, then frankly, this will help. Who am I? Who is it? Anybody's right, if you will. Well, they've got the right. But where does it become functional for somebody to say, no, putting a felt pen in a box isn't going to help you? If you believe it's going to help, bearing in mind, you still have to use practical approaches. Where it comes to money, you can absolutely believe what you will, because money does not care. Okay, no matter how you look at it, if you're in a good mood, money will work the way money does. If you're in a bad mood, money will work the same way. It just doesn't really care one way or the other. Okay. Now, I will tell you, it was because of belief and a focused effort that I managed to heal my eyes as much as I did. And this year, I'm starting to work on them again. A lot of the reason I keep putting these back on is because, frankly, habit. And that's where it becomes a complication. Absolutely. I'm glad. And thank you so much for the confirmation, Raven. The reality is, whether or not, from my standpoint anyway, whether or not you believe you can accomplish something, you're almost inevitably going to prove yourself right. Okay. Now, there's all sorts of things that you can do. But the choice you've got to make is, are you going to hang on to all the things from the past, from 2022 or before? Are you going to hang on to the things that were causing problems or that you already know weren't working? I've always gotten a kick out of it. So many people go, and I did it myself, where it comes to singing, and no, I'm not going to start singing for you, rest assured, that would be dangerous. I was told all the time I was growing up I couldn't sing, I couldn't carry a tune. So I gave up altogether. Not necessarily a wise idea, but it was the way it went. But you have to pick the direction that is going to work. I absolutely agree with you there, Raven. The thing is, when somebody is just starting out, when someone is just starting out, encouragement helps immensely. I'm living proof of it. When I started doing the YouTube channel and the YouTube, channels, I started off with recording them and then posting them later. But it has been because of the support that I've received here that I have been able to continue moving forward. And that's just the reality of it. Oh, in all fairness, I appreciate the question there, Crave Dog. Quite seriously, the professionals, R stands for Ronald. So many businesses call me Ronald, and that was what I got called to start with. Currently, I will answer to Ronald, Keith, or pretty much anything else that's polite. I've been called a lot of things that are not repeatable. Well, they are repeatable, just not in polite company. And that is one of the biggest things. Absolutely. The other thing I found there, Raven, where it comes to the clutter, and this is likely the easiest one for most people to get done, the quickest one anyway. If you take a look at your house as a physical body, anytime you've got clutter, it will clog your arteries. The primary arteries in a house are the connective hallways between rooms. So if you look at it, the quickest way to get the energy flowing is take the clutter that's there and get rid of that which is no longer required. Take anything that is in the way that is not of much use. Now, this does not mean get rid of everything you own. It means get rid of the stuff that you really don't have a purpose to hang on to. That it's not doing you any functional good. The reason I say the hallways is because those are the main arteries. You clear the arteries up, and the energy flow goes a lot more effectively. That is one of the first things you look at. The brain. Now let's separate the house and the home. Your house is a physical construct in which you live. That is the actual physical building that you're living in. And the arteries in that building do control how your finances run. They control how much energy you've got, because the moment you start eliminating the clutter, you'll find you've got more energy to work with. Your mind is almost certain to work more clearly. The home is the feeling within the walls of your primary living place. So again, we look at the two because they're superimposed on each other. And again, when you remove the clutter, that energy flow, that sense of self, that sense of well-being comes on track. Now, I have talked to so many religious people, so many spiritual people that have got things completely backwards in my eyes. They look at it and they tell you, change is scary. You've got to fear everything because the world is going to come to an end. The world's going to come to an end. Well, I got news for you. The world will come to an end. But it's a real question as to when, because it depends on the estimation of the person as to when the sun is going to grow to the point of consuming the world. And until then, we're here. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to be here for several billion years, at least not in this body. I am doing everything I can to build my body back up, to get my immune system running properly, so that I can actually live a healthy life. Okay, now I am not perfect by any means, and Lord knows the doctors are a whole lot less than impressed with me, because I take what the doctors tell me and go, not doing it because it doesn't make sense for me. This said, doctors are a necessary part of this world. Okay, for those of you that have not figured out how to get your body to heal, then for those people, it is very necessary to turn to the medical professionals. Okay, to ask them for assistance, to ask them for guidance, because the theory is they know more about the body than you do. Okay, what was I just reading here? One of the things that I have come to understand is that when you desire your life to change, first of all, identify what you are not content with. Now, I heard somebody the other day telling people, don't make plans for the future. Don't make plans, because what you'll find is you'll disappoint yourself. Now, this is supposed to be a motivational speaker. Don't plan for the future, because you're just going to disappoint yourself. Don't make a list of to-do things, things to do. Make a list of not doing things. This is counterproductive. Okay, and any way you look at it, whether you're making a list of things to do or a list of things to do that are counter to what you're doing, okay, doesn't matter. It's still a list, and it still holds the same weight. If you don't act on said list, you're going to have a problem with it. You're just not going to make the headway you think. I'm just looking to see if I actually have a book here. Don't know if that's the book I want. Nope, it isn't. Thought I had one there, but apparently not. But I'm looking at things and going, okay, what do we do from here? Now, you can fear the future. You absolutely can. You're more than welcome to it. Lord knows this world is going down a very complicated path. Okay, I tell you, I did find something out there, Raven. When I had all the clutter in my bedroom, I didn't sleep very well at all. Okay, it's not so much I kept things under my bed. Okay, there wasn't enough room. There's monsters under my bed, and they need a place to sleep too. It was a question of I turned around and went, the excess boxes, the excess junk that I've got has to go elsewhere. So now what I'm doing is disposing of all of it. If it doesn't suit me, if it doesn't have a functional purpose, okay, I am getting it out of my possession, whether that means taking it to a secondhand store, giving it to somebody that can use it, or throwing it in the garbage if it's broken or beyond repair. Okay, or taking it to recycling. It's leaving my apartment. Okay, and the way that has worked is it has driven my energy through the roof. Eris, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. Right now, the one thing I would love to see happen, and this room seems to work very nicely for it. They really do. So I keep under my bed open. My closet's a little plugged. But that being said, my closet doesn't have doors on it. The reality of it is, I would love to see everybody that you come in contact with, and I do my best for this in myself, when you see somebody outside, regardless of whether you know them or not, smile at them and say hello. Okay, this is one of those things that will help us turn this world around. If we start reaching out and being polite to everybody, regardless of their regardless of their heritage, regardless of their spiritual belief. Okay, you got to remember, everybody will look at the world through their own eyes anyway. I didn't even know Raven had a channel. Okay, that's it, Raven. If you would be kind enough, you look below this video, you'll find all sorts of ways to get a hold of me. Drop me a copy of your channel address, and I will be happy to add to the top of this channel when I come online. You know, the reality is I've heard mixed opinions of it. You know, why promote somebody else's channel if it's not getting you anywhere? Well, I'll tell you this. The reason for it is not because it's not getting you anywhere. It's because by working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, let's face it. I currently have 345 subscribers. You know, and I mean, you compare that to, to World Bigfoot and Dave, and the Spaced Out Radio, who have at last count 20.1 thousand subscribers to World Bigfoot and 20.6 thousand to Spaced Out Radio. This is a drop in the bucket given that we have over 8 billion people on the planet. Okay, now am I going to tell you the world is an absolutely fantastic place all of the time? Not a prayer. Okay, oh, wild. That is a chore I do not envy you there, Grave Dog. Of course, I don't have to, but I'd like to ask. Are you moving because it's a choice that you have decided it's time? Or are you moving because, unfortunately, things have not worked out? And absolutely, understand this is strictly up to you. It's more a curiosity thing on my part. I'm in an apartment where I never have to move as long as I keep my bills paid. It absolutely does. Eris is just saying here, the turbulent times doing the bare minimum niceties to people makes a big difference. I will tell you, smiling at somebody, sometimes that's all it takes to set their day off on a better note. I cannot tell you the number of times that I've simply said hi to somebody. I remember I was coming through the airport one day, years and years and years ago. I turned around and I came in. We were on time and I had nowhere to be in a hurry. Didn't have any baggage because I carry all mine with me. And I turned around and I waited in line at the baggage claim, right? And I listened to this poor girl. There were 2 or 3 people in front of me. And I took a look at it and I said, no, I'm just going to wait for a minute. Got up to the front of the counter and this person was really just absolutely drawn. It had to have been an horrendous day. And I looked at her and, she goes, how can I help you, sir? I said, no, I just wanted to stop by and I saw you were having a bad day. So I just figured I'd let you know. I had a fantastic trip. All of my bags I arrived on time. All of my bags are here. Really happy with the treatment I got. And she looks at me and she goes, no, sir, seriously, how can I help you? I says, I am being serious. I didn't have anywhere that I have to be right now. And you look like you could use a little bit of a break. So I figured I'd come over and say thanks so much for a job well done. Well, I will tell you, the look on her face when she realized I was being dead serious was absolutely phenomenal. And it's that kind of feeling that has drawn me to the conclusion that the consulting work that I've been doing, I was looking at walking away from it. Okay. I really was. I've been doing it for, well, I'm 59 now, so as of May of this year, I will have been doing consulting work for 50 years. Okay. I start because I'll turn 60 in May. I started simply by opening my mouth and putting my foot in it. Okay. Now, the real hiccup there, Crave Dog, is when you go there, as you get set to move, as you get everything packed up, figure out what your bottom line is that you're going to require in the way of an income. And regardless of if you've got a job at this point, write down on that sheet of paper, I have legally acquired a minimum of X dollars by January 31st, 2023 at 1 minute to midnight. Okay. By doing that, it helps draw the financial energy out of the spiritual world into the material world where it can be made manifest. See, and for me, helping, I love the fact you do that, YJ. That's the one area I can't help people. I can certainly phone for backup for them. But where it comes to mechanical work, I have trouble finding my own oil cap. And I snapped a windshield wiper a couple of years back, had no clue how to fix the thing. Okay, so I just go to the mechanic. I don't blame you there, Eris. Yeah. Eris is just saying she prefers helping animals over people. The reason I can see that working is because I find that animals on the whole are very honest. When they're telling you what they're feeling or when they're showing appreciation, there is no hidden agenda. Okay. Mankind is not quite that simple or quite that cut and dried. Okay. So what we're looking at here is, are we going to continue looking at the world and going, we should continue fearing everything happening? Or are we going to look at it and go, if I do one little thing, just one nice thing today, okay, then number one, you may help somebody else. And number two, and it really is a direct correlation, they in turn will help somebody. Now, if you make a habit of helping 2 people a day and that help may be nothing more than smiling at them and saying good morning, that may be all that they require. Animals really do. And by the way, Era, something I found out personally, plants are even more pure in a lot of ways. There's no variation for them. They are honest. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm seeing. And, I find that they are incredible to work with. Now, granted, they also have the added advantage of not getting up and moving. I do not like vertigo. Not at all. So I'm just going to bring my temperature down here the old-fashioned way. Go to open the window. I actually should have had something a little more substantial for dinner, I think. But the reality behind life is this: if you spend it fearing everybody around you, you're going to have some pretty serious complications. I absolutely agree with you there, Raven. It's like I've told people, can we start a pandemic, please? And what I mean by that is go out and smile at everybody you see, even if you don't know them, even if you don't like them. Smile. Keep them wondering what you're up to. Okay, it's the one gift that you can make for absolutely nothing. Won't cost you a plug nickel. Everybody loves receiving it, and most people will return it. Okay. And when that happens, what you've got is this person smiling to that one, and it just echoes down the street. And I will tell you, which would you rather? I'll ask you rather. Which would you rather? Walking down a street where everybody's smiling and everybody's happy, or walking down a street where everybody's grumpy and arguing with each other and staring at the floorboards? Which kind of an image makes you happier or makes you feel a little more uplifted? You know, the neat thing about weeds there, Eris, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but centuries back, roses and tulips were considered weeds. Okay. Now, personally, I like both, but they were considered weeds, but it was marketing that made it really beneficial. Now, I have decided, I was talking about this yesterday. Okay, when you're looking at making your life better, couple of things that are necessary. One, absolutely get a stable, definitive job where you can generate an income. Now, that can be something you work for somebody else, or it can be something you're generating yourself. You know, I actually used to have a bumper sticker that said, the more people I meet, the more I like my cat. Okay. And the reality is that's the way it's been most of my life. Absolutely. You know, the other thing I find there, you know, YJ was just saying looking far away to the horizon does help. I also find, and this is why I got up, if I open the window and drop the temperature in the room, it quite often will solve my problem. Okay. But it's one of these things you have to learn to cope with. You know, from my standpoint, and I've already started working on it. You know, we've just come out of 2023. So I've got a list of, I think, something like 15 Christmas gifts that I'm starting to work on for this coming Christmas. That includes, like, they will all be primarily handmade. Okay. Because in my opinion, a handmade gift that I feel the person will benefit from is far more important because of the energy tied to it, because of the effort. It's far more meaningful than just buying another electronic game or buying something that somebody says they really desire to have. Okay, wonder if I've got it here. This one, nope, that is not the one I had. I'm actually just looking for a sheet of items I had listed. That is not it. I have a bad habit of doing that. Too many things on the go at the same time. So I'm just going to stand up here. One of the things I did find is if I don't move, my leg locks up, and that's a problem. Don't need that. These. I think that's it there, maybe. Nope. And of course, what I'm looking for is not readily visible. Don't know why I do that. I mean, it gets to be annoying in some ways. Should do this while I'm thinking of it. Or maybe I shouldn't, I don't know. Take that. This, I know you guys have seen it. Okay, this is one of those figures I work on. And where is the other one? Because I did decide what color I was going to work with it. So I take that, and that's the owlbear that I've been dealing with. We're going to get some of him done today, too. The thing is, if you continue to procrastinate, not happy. Definitely not happy. Oh, that'll work. You know, if you continue to procrastinate, you will get very, very little done. You know, I mean, it's wonderful procrastinating on occasion. You put your feet up and just relax. And for me, that does help immensely. I'm only just now actually learning how to relax, which is a neat little problem considering I'm supposed to have figured that out a long time ago. Where did my black go? So, take black, put it over there. Let's do this, shall we? We take this blind, this owlbear, and like I had mentioned, I'm certain I took. Well, that was just wrong. That was definitely not what I had in mind. Apparently, I ended up with black all over the place here. Did I get black in my glasses too? No. Bonus. Absolutely bonus. But if I take, like, this is what I do in my spare time as well. Okay, is just this idea of making certain that I take the figures and go, I could leave it sit. But every time I do, I don't get anything accomplished with it. So I figure, what the heck? I might as well do something with it. But we have to take a look. If you desire your life to change, first and foremost, you're the one that's going to have to change it. Okay, you're absolutely the one that's going to have to do the work. For me, I'd love to get somebody else to do it, but then I wouldn't get anything done either. But it's a question, are you going to keep your life going the way it has been and just leave it as is? Or are you going to start looking at your world and going, what am I not content with? Am I really buying into fear that other people say is necessary? Or am I going to look at my world and go, I'm going to do things that I'm content with, that I feel better with? Now, I actually asked a priest one day, and if I recall correctly, he was Roman Catholic. And I asked him, I says, number one, I says, is it God's work? If somebody comes to you and they're feeling and they're sick, are you doing God's work if you turn around and you take them into the church and you pray and you sit down with them, you put your hands on them and you pray, however you want to phrase it, God, please heal this person. Okay, however you phrase it. Is this doing God's work? And the guy looks at me and goes, absolutely, that's doing God's work. That's what we're supposed to do. I said, great. Now, what happens if that same priest finds somebody outside of their church and he's on the doorstep of the same church? The same priest sits down with the person that has been hurt, and sitting on the doorstep of that same church prays in their head, God, please heal this individual from their iniquities, or however you want to put it, but the same words. I said, is this God's work? And he immediately turned around and goes, no, that's blasphemy. You have to do it inside the church. I looked at him, I said, that doesn't add up for me. Okay, because the way I look at it, when I look at religion, what I was taught was quite seriously, wherefore two or more are gathered in my name, there am I. Now, to me, this means that the building is not the point. But unfortunately, so many different religions and spiritual pathways seem to believe it is. Okay. I do encourage you to find your own way. Absolutely. Shadow, take care. Have a great week, and we will see you as soon as possible. I'm going to do my best to drop into your show again. I just have to make sure I get the right time for it. But this is one of those neat little things that you have to look at your life and go, are you following the path that feels right to you? If the answer is yes, then you're on the right road and carry on. It simply boils down to following karmic law. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Okay. If you're doing that, then frankly, my understanding and my belief is you're doing exactly what you should be. Because the reality is, if you can make one person's day just a little brighter, make their burden just a little lighter, then you're doing the job that you're supposed to be doing. You're learning to interact with people, to put people's welfare on the whole as a priority, as an important part of life. And this is something that most of us are guilty of overlooking. Okay. The reality is when we take a look at things, I saw somebody one day and I could not believe it. I'm going to relay something here that just goes to show how twisted, unfortunately, many people are. Okay. And no, I think I'm not going to do that. I was going to, and I figured, no, I think we'll go the other route. Okay. I watched this person, they literally, they went out in the middle of a snow, they just went outside to get the mail. And stuck in a snowbank was a tiny kitten. Quite literally, it was small enough it could curl up in the palm of my hand. And they brought it back in, out of the cold, out of the snow, brought it back in, and they literally said, well, what do we do with it now? Well, the other individual involved looks at them and goes, well, give the cat to me and you go out and get the mail like you were planning on in the first place. This is just the way that the world is working. Too many people are ignoring this whole factor of helping each other. And it's something that we really have to get back to. It's absolutely imperative in 2023 that we start really looking at what is happening with the world and figuring out how we can deal with it, how we can make it a better place for virtually everybody. Now, I've got goals, you've got goals. Got a question for you, though. Have you picked even one task that you desire to finish this lifetime? Okay, no, not this lifetime, this year. And if so, have you started working on it? The reality of it is that when you're looking at different goals, okay, if you break them down into 15-minute to half-hour goals, you will find you get a lot more sense of accomplishment. But it's one of these things that as individuals, we've got to actually make the effort to make it happen. But it's something that you've got to do for you, and you've got to do it for yourself. Now, by all means, if you don't know how to get something started, absolutely ask. Now, one of the neat little things that I came across, and I've been asked this by multiple people, okay, is that I deal with humans and many, many, many different races. But what I have come to understand is that quite literally all of these races have the same kinds of problems. How do you start changing the way you're looking at the world? How do you get things turned around properly? Well, from my standpoint, it boils down to think about what you're not content with. And really, once you've identified something you're not content with, start working towards altering the energy so that you are content with the outcome. In doing this, you will find a whole lot of things work far better for you. Okay. It's one of those issues that we have to take a look at and go, where is my responsibility? Your responsibility is in putting the effort into making sure your world and that your goals are actually met. It's up to you to make this happen, not anybody else. And yes, I know that is completely backwards to what we've been being told. Okay. So many people get told the other side of it. that, no, you take care of you. Do not help other people because other people are mean, etc., etc. Well, if you think about it, who are being the mean ones? The people that are a little short-tempered and a little bit testy because they're starving, or the ones that are turning their back on the starving people. That's where you have to start looking. Oh, that did not work well. That's where you really have to start looking at things and going, how am I going to deal with this? How am I going to set a better example? Not how is the world going to treat me better, but how am I going to make it work more effectively so that I'm leaving this world in a better place? Now, for me, it boils down to this. I will not sit here and tell you, don't go to church because they're evil. And I hear people say that. I won't tell you that because churches have a use. Whatever spiritual path you follow, whatever group of people you feel drawn to and supported by, these are the people to focus on. These are the ones to spend time around because ultimately these are the ones that are going to help you find your way. Now, it may not be the way that the other people around you think it should be, but honestly, that is not the relevant concern at this point. The real relevant concern at this point is to make certain from your end that you are acquiring or attaining the outcomes you're looking for. Okay, that's where we really have to look at things and say, what are we doing? Are you going to keep your life in the path it's in? For me, it's simple. I'm working on these while I'm talking, and as you can see, we are making headway. Like I said, I am not I am not what we consider the most artistic person. Okay, but I will tell you I'm doing my level best to actually make things work. And that can be a challenge for a lot of people, especially if you don't know where to begin. One of the biggest challenges I came across was accepting the fact that I actually had a functional purpose I can work with. And, the reality is that functional purpose has in large part been brought about by the support I've gotten from the people in this chat room. It really is that way. And I don't know if that matters from your guys' standpoint, but to me, there is no way I can say thank you properly enough to make things work. Will I continue doing these vlogs, and will I continue working with YouTube for the foreseeable future? The answer is yes. Now it's just a question of making certain I get everything moved in the right way. But it really boils down to this. Okay, 2022 was whatever it was. Every one of us went through 2022. Every one of you has the same problem or the same obstacles. There were things you did in 2022 that you were not content with. There are things that you would like to get done in 2023. And I am telling you, I would really strongly encourage you to do both. Lacey, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. Every spiritual path I've come across has some, there are some strengths to it and some weaknesses. I've yet to find one that is perfect. However, it's not for me to find a spiritual path that is perfect for people. It's up to you to find the one that is perfect for you, or at least solidly enough for you to encourage you to continue down that road. And this is where we have to really look at the world and go, how are we going to do this? Are we going to continue buying into like I saw the other day. Oh, the world is ending in 2023 and the sky is falling and we're going to go into massive recession. You can buy into that. Okay. But the problem here is this. If you buy into it and start hoarding your money, okay, and start turning away your friends, you may find a bigger complication. Okay, you may find that this wasn't necessarily the best choice. Yes, a little bit of quiet time there. Thinking about which way things are going. And from my standpoint, it really boils down to this. Pick a direction. Are you content with the way your world is going? Are you content with the path you're on? If not, let's work together. The other day, because my left leg right now is somewhat swollen, I seriously looked at it and went, no, I may just have to bite the bullet and go down to the hospital and get it looked at. Fortunately, about the same time I came to that conclusion, I found an interesting twist. Okay, and started getting it to break loose. Personally, I got nothing against hospitals. I just don't like the fact that they don't listen. At least not for me. I had a heart attack a decade ago. Yep, decade ago now. And I told the doctor what the problem was. And after he confirmed what the problem was, he turned around and told me I couldn't have possibly known. At that point, I looked at him and went, I'm going home. Because if a doctor will not listen to you, there may be a bigger problem. But no, you take a look at the way your world is going. And this is the real long and the short of it. It is time that we really take a look at it and go, how am I going to make this a better world for when I take off? Because sooner or later, you will, like all of us, sooner or later, you will end up passing away. Question is, how many times are you going to do that before you finally clock out? Well, here's the thing. Eris, I looked at that and I've seen that happen. I mean, heck, I remember walking around on this planet and like I said, I remember past lives. I remember the dinosaurs walking around, and rest assured, dinosaurs weren't the only people here. But the end of the world, I walked out of Sodom and Gomorrah when they burned. I survived the exodus of Egypt. All of these absolutely world-ending cataclysms. Okay, the Great Flood. That was a lot of water, a lot of death that day. And by the way, the Ark wasn't the only ship that was used. It was just the biggest one. But the problem here is this. In answer to your question there, Raven, it's my left leg. And just to put that in perspective, my right leg's the bad one. The left leg swole up. Okay. And there is no pain. My heart is still fine. I keep checking my blood pressure. My I don't have the flexibility in the leg right now, but I don't have any weakness in any of my extremities. So it's not a question, I did question whether or not I might have a blood clot. But I know if I go down to the doctor right now, there is no doubt in my mind they'll tell me that the reason I've got the problem with the leg is because of COVID. And I don't have any interest in going down that road. Okay. Still working on what exactly is wrong. But part of it turns out, apparently, that if you sit in an uncomfortable chair for 24 out of 48 hours, it messes up your circulation. I am right now in the process of using hawthorn berry to make sure the heart is running properly. Okay. But there is an outside shot that the reason my leg is all of a sudden swollen up is because somebody else is close to somebody that I know is having problems with their own. And there is a possibility that what I've done is absorb that damage. Okay. And I'm now trying to do what I did when I was a kid. Just absorb people's illness and then let my own body heal it. But any suggestions as to what could be the complication, I'm certainly not going to complain about. I've looked up on the internet, and it does seem to be, for the most part, that I've been sitting still too long. But then writing too many books at once might be part of the problem there. The other issue is, of course, I was gaming today from 10 o'clock until 3 o'clock. Well, until about 3:30. 10 o'clock this morning until about 3:30 this afternoon. Got off, went and sat down for a minute, went, wait a minute. I've got to be live at 4:30. And that is what got me off the couch, was the fact that I do enjoy coming here because of people like you. That really is the driving factor. Ultimately, Eris, that is correct. There are times when you're looking, there are times when you sit back and postpone things. I kept postponing quitting my last job. And what the universe went and did was close the business. The answer to your question there, Crave Dog, I play Dungeons and Dragons. On Thursdays, I run a game. On Sundays, I play in a game. That is an interesting thing, because if you think about it, I've been really focusing a lot on on my finances lately, but what am I here? Oh, yeah, I don't think so. We do not need this. That can go away. Because I don't need this issue of seeing if you guys want to go to sites like this, knock yourself out. Okay. That's your business. Is this one of those things that I'm going to leave in place? No. Okay. I've got nothing against the sites, but it boils down to not the way I look at it. But, I do appreciate that information, Eris, because I've been, especially when you think about it, this is the first time in 50 years I've been unemployed. I've been unemployed as in with absolutely no job, no income, and no future approaching it. Except at this point, I am actually focusing on my own company. Okay, on Inner Voice Enterprises. And through that, I will be getting my books into print. I will be continuing with consulting, business and personal. And I am working to open an actual publishing company where the people that have a story they'd like to get printed, that they'd like to get into print, I will be able to deal with without telling you your story isn't good enough. It won't sell enough. That's not my concern. Okay. Because I am not, I do not speak for 8 billion people. I speak for one, and I translate for a few others. Okay, but I will tell you this is what I do, but that's my direction. Okay, but I do have to ask, therefore, Raven, with that piece of information that you've given, okay, the left leg has to do with doing things you dislike of financial pressures, because of financial pressures, feeling overwhelmed and worried. That said, what does your healer's manual say about the right leg? Because if you would be kind enough, that is the one that I completely scrambled when I was a kid. No, in all fairness, Crave Dog, I am still old school. I play with dice, paper, and a tabletop. Okay. That is how I've done it since June of 76. Well, I learned in December of 75. You know, that ultimately is and that's something I'm working on there, Raven. This idea of, thanking them and appreciating what is there. You know, the reality is, this is why I tell people everything is intertwined. The whole 9 yards is interlocked. There's no question there. Oh, well, can't imagine that. I have been a professional procrastinator since I was a child. Now, I destroyed my leg when I was 12. Did it in an old-fashioned way. 25 miles an hour into concrete and gravel. Took everything from about a third of the way up the knee, or up the thigh, to about halfway down the shin, all the way to the bone. They told me I'd never walk again. Well, they were wrong, but I am on a cane. And maybe that whole issue where it comes to the finances is just a culmination, because I spent about a year and a half debating whether to walk out of the job I was working at and move on to something else. And, now I've decided this is exactly where I'm going. And if you're right there, if you're right, Raven, then does it not make sense that having 2 days ago just decided right there, this is what I'm doing. These are the 3 streams I am putting into place. I've got them on paper. I've laid out the whole 9 yards for it, and I'm working on the actual projections. That started about 2 days ago when I made that decision. In your estimation, in your opinion, and I'll call it your professional opinion because I don't know what else to call it. Okay. Would that make sense that the leg would start to, where the swelling would start to slow down? I'm just thinking that might be part of the issue. And this is why this is what I really like about this particular group that comes in here. Is, yes, I do this because it does help me get my head on straight. But it also enables me to reach out to the community around me, okay, and share, get the input back and forth so that we can share it with other people. Thank you so much, Raven. I appreciate the corroboration. I know the next week I'll be sleeping on the couch so I can get my leg up properly, because that seems to help alleviate it. Not necessarily the best place to sleep, but if I can get the leg working properly to avoid the thing I thought I may have been developing, aka a blood clot, not a fun thing. Don't feel like going through that, but thank you very much for the offer. I'm a firm believer that literally, when your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, then you can achieve it. When we actually believe and act upon the concept that we can talk to each other and actually have meaningful interaction, that this is going to open the doors. Okay. Now, when I look at the gaming, I just got finished running a game today and just brought the a D&D game together, and just brought the people together so that they know where they're heading. Okay, I've got to get a lot done for next week, but this is where I start shifting things out. Yeah, and that I agree with wholeheartedly, Raven. One thing I did find, and I found it immediately, as soon as I was actually unemployed, all of a sudden my stress about that aspect just collapsed. I no longer have a definitive schedule that says I have to be at this preordained place. AKA my boss says you're on shift for such and such an hour. But I laid out the path for me where Monday to Friday, I will be running from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Consistently, but that's on my schedule. This clears me off the deck by 3:30 on Thursdays when I do my gaming. And it leaves my weekends wide open to do whatever I please. So I will take phone calls or whatever, but I prefer working on video. And so I've just gone, that's the way it's going. Couple that with the writing, and I've got a staggering amount of that I desire to get done at this point. You couple that together. As a matter of fact, that reminds me, I wonder if I've got, is that particular book open? Let us see. We have to open up second print 1219. That would be that one. Because I've got to get a list tonight of the different, of the next batch of pictures done for Races of the World. Nope, not going to grab that at this point. I was going to pull a book out, but frankly, I got paint on my hands, and that just doesn't work for me. Yes, Raven, the answer to your question is I have decided I will do them directly. The one catch to it is that I do it by video because there is so much that gets missed if I don't. So the video systems that I have that work, because my computer needs to be replaced, are Skype, LinkedIn, and Yahoo Messenger. FaceTime I do work on as far as the phone goes. But the catch to it is I do work prepaid. I did it before where, I ask you a question and then turn it, and then pay after. Almost every time I've done that, I've done the reading for somebody and never got paid. So I just said, forget it. I'm just not taking the chance. That being said, what I do is I charge, and I do charge. And here's why. If I don't charge for doing the consulting, for doing the writing and what have you, I have to go find a regular job, at which point there is no way I can help as many people. Now, I've been doing this kind of work since I was 10. I'm 59 now. I'll be 60 in 5 months. And when you look at that and you work out the numbers of people I've dealt with, I've got literally in excess of 100,000 clients under my belt. So when I'm dealing with that, do I charge? Yes. The answer to that other question, is quite literally, I actually charge $90 an hour. That said, I can work with either direct deposit, direct email. In Canada, that works, email transfer. Anywhere else, I work with PayPal. The easiest way to get a hold of me is actually Inner Voice Enterprises at yahoo.ca. Now, of course, if you didn't catch all of that, drop me an email at a contact at any one of the contacts below this video. I will be more than happy to go into it in more detail and work out the best time to work for you. For whoever. It doesn't matter from my standpoint. If I can help, I will tell you. If I can't, because I will tell you, no, I do not. I've been asked by people, well, I remember one client phoned me up and they wanted to know, they wanted to know, where did the neighbor down the road get the money for the boat he just picked up? I looked at him and went, I'm not telling you. Well, I want to pay you, I'm paying you to tell me. I said, you're not paying me enough. It didn't come out of your bank account. So if you really want to know, go ask him. Well, for some reason, they were really annoyed. Absolutely, Raven. I do appreciate that. I do my best at this point, and this is something when we talk about procrastination, I left emails forever because, I didn't have a direct path that I was looking to go on that I knew for certain That's where I was heading. About 2 days ago, I went, this is where I'm going. And I am looking at opening the publishing side of it, to publish into the publishing side of work. I've had the business since 2007, right? And I just haven't done anything with it. So I am learning how to do the publishing properly, where people will be able to contact me and go, I've got a book I desire to publish. Okay, can you help me? And I'll be able to go, possibly. Let's take a look at the book. Let's talk about what it is. There are certain genres I just will not deal with. But there are two facets to the publishing side of it. One, if you just want the book published, okay, and get it in print with a ISBN number, and I will be looking into how to figure out how to get copywriting done, not only for myself, but for others. If that's all you're looking at, there'll be one price. If you're looking at editing, and this is something that I'm having to start expanding on, okay, figure out just exactly what I'm capable and what I'm willing to do. I was asked the other day if I will do speech writing. And the answer is, unless I know the person doing the speech, the issue that the speech is about, and the company the speech is designed for, I won't do it, because the reality is you've got to have those pieces of information. Okay, those have to be there to do a speech properly. Now, if everything goes well, then I will be down in Vegas for the May 18th, May 18th to 22nd. If everything goes well, I'm hoping tomorrow to hear back from my travel agent and have a definitive answer. I'm just curious, if I open this up, if that's going to pop through. It really boils down to a case of figuring out how I'm moving forward and what I want to do with it. Let us see. Just wondering if this opened. All kinds of neat little things there. Nope, that is not what I'm looking for. All kinds of interesting things. Okay, I got a whole pile there that I got to deal. Oh, crikey, she wouldn't have been there anyway. I'm looking at this email going, has my travel agent got back in touch with me? And the answer is no. So we will see how that works. But one of the big things that we have to look at, okay, when you're looking at your life, the one thing you have to realize, if you're going to change your life from what it was to what you desire it to be, you're the one that's going to have to make the effort to make it happen. Absolutely. Talk to people that have done it successfully in the past. Absolutely talk to them. Okay. If you want to talk to me about how to become a millionaire, you may desire to wait about a decade, maybe less. Okay. I'm not a millionaire yet. Okay. But I can certainly tell you how money can work if you don't have a lot of it, which is why I'm still not living on the street. Okay, reorganizing things, getting rid of the clutter. Well, in case you hadn't noticed, if you look back at my previous videos about a year and a half back, you'll see this place was absolutely a disaster. And that is getting cleared up. Primarily because I no longer desire to be a mess. Okay, and again, it boils down to getting rid of the clutter. But I personally refuse to live in fear of the world ending. The world is going to end. We are all at some point going to die. In my case, I figure I may die 2 or 3 times more before I get fed up with the routine. I know I told my other half, she was asking me the other day if, she was asking me the other day about the idea, because she thought she was taking too long to come across the border, and she kept going, are you, I feel like I'm on a deadline. I said, you are on a deadline. If I die or if you die before you get across the border, I'm not marrying you. That's where it ends. That's the deadline. Because I'm not looking for anybody else. So I'm not going into any of these channels like the ones I just blocked out. Okay. I'm not going to these channels. Okay. It's not because they're bad. The ones, if you look at the top of the videos, this is directly to you, Crave Dog, if you're still here. If you take a look at Shadow and Sons at their, if you take a look at their, where are we here? Scroll down there and let us see. Shadow and Sons is that one there. Shadow and Sun, my apologies. Okay, check out this particular website, a YouTube channel. Okay, he does some really incredible work. Okay, but when we're done here, because I like the fact that you're still here in all fairness. When we're done here, there's a site to directly go and take a look at regarding D&D and that sort of thing. He works with a lot of the figures. Okay. Every YouTube channel that I do post has their own forte. Okay. As most of you know, Spaced Out Radio has an incredible variety of various different things. And I mean, of various different topics, usually in the UFO, the cryptid, all that odd thing, all that kind of fringe element, and he does a fantastic job. When I first hooked up with him about 8 years ago, he was still trying to get onto his first terrestrial radio. Now he's just got on to his 8th or 9th. I mean, it's been a heck of a ride. And of course, you take a look at World Bigfoot, and World Bigfoot does some remarkable footage and remarkable research into the Bigfoot race. This is why, and these are people that come in periodically. Okay. Well, I appreciate that, Raven. I know I asked this before, but I understand you have a YouTube channel yourself. It would be really appreciated if you could get that to me so that I can post that up for you. Ouch. Because the reality is, it is a question of helping each other promote our channels to get things going. Now, the reality is, will I ever set up a channel or set up a feed for people to listen into this show, or for that matter, to gain access to anything that is readily available? The answer is no, because the issue for me is not making money off of you guys. Okay. Yes, getting my subscribership up over 1,000 is a goal. Okay, but that goal is based on the idea that YouTube apparently at that break point starts paying me money. That means I'm utilizing their venue to do these talks, and then they pay me for doing so. Okay, and as you've seen, Raven, I do put other channels listed up there. It is my way of saying thank you for supporting me here. Okay, now I'm doing the consulting. I'm going to be doing the publishing and obviously the writing, but I am currently also looking into finding a place that does coffee mugs, t-shirts, this sort of thing, to get into the merchandising side of it as well, again, as a way of growing Inner Voice Enterprises. Now, the reality of it is, I've got a website up and running. Okay, and let's see if I can find that. This is why I like more than one channel. I don't have to go looking for it too much. Okay, so this is my channel. Okay. And it tells you at this point all the different books I've actually got in print. It's the same place that as I get books published for other people, this is the same place I will be putting that as well. Okay. as well as you can find me on Facebook, obviously. Okay, both as R. Keith Andrews, as Ronald Keith Andrews. Okay, some of you know me on Facebook, but there's a whole list of places under these videos that tell you how to contact me. And the reality is, when I take a look at it, thank you so much, Raven. As I get things available, I will add to them. Okay, but I've got to be careful of one thing. I want to make sure that, I desire to make certain this time that I do it absolutely right. I have been puttering around and been playing at this idea of marketing for years. Okay. And now it's time to start making things happen. Carl, glad you could join us. Hopefully your day has gone well. Things are changing, and the reality is 2022 is over. So in 2023, I intend on taking my company, my home, and my life, and changing it for the better on a quantifiable, trackable monthly increase. This is why I'm tracking my finances, why I'm tracking even my sleep. Come to think of it, I don't even know if I did that. Okay. And yes, I get up because, frankly, kind of a necessity I've found. If I sit too long, that leg starts to act up on me. So, I'm just going over here to take a look at it just to make sure that I was right. This morning was the 8th. It was so. Only I did not add to it. And, of course, I didn't take the pen with me. Wouldn't you know that? Okay. So, we go back over here and we go on Saturday night, went from 10:30 to midnight, which was 1.5. This is just literally, this is how I actually track my sleep, so I can find out whether or not my sleep is coming down to a reasonable level. This morning being the 8th, right, was really broken. Yeah, that's right. Since you got up then. And that's how that sits. Now that I've got that tracked, I'll be able to keep an eye on it and know in a quantifiable fashion. I'm hoping, Carl, that you're able to move a little bit more effectively than what you were a little earlier. I'm absolutely hoping that things are coming back on track for you. I know I was laid up for 3 months, and that was no fun. But it's people like you, Carl, that even when when you guys make time to share this couple hours with me, I do not know how, at least not in this point, how to actually say thank you in an appropriate fashion, other than to say that one of the other things I have done that I've already got worked out is how to actually go into true profit sharing with my own company. Yeah, Dave does a staggering job where it comes to tracking the chat rooms. Myself, I only have the one running and don't even know if it broadcasts on Facebook, in all fairness. Of course, I don't even know entirely how to set that up. And I don't want to strangle things to create a problem. But I figured out everybody pays for advertising. Okay, but I figured out a way to actually track word of mouth advertising. Not 100% accurately, but at least it gives me something to work with. And it's one of these things that I am absolutely bound and determined to take my, that is absolutely terrible there, Carl. I am bound and determined to take my success as it grows and share that with the people around me. And that doesn't mean just the people that are reaching out to help me. I mean the people around me, the society itself. Will I ever donate to a registered charity? Not likely. Thus far, everyone I've seen is built wrong, where most of the money that they gets absorbed by administration costs. That is not the way I'm going to operate. Okay, but I do have to talk to a lawyer and make sure a lawyer or an accountant and make sure that I can put a fund aside that says this money is all going towards charity, meaning helping people in need that require food, that require anything, if it fits inside my budget. Okay, the administration cost will be absorbed by my actual company. It will not be an added expense. Because in my opinion, if you're taking donations, if you're accepting donations from people to help put into the charity, they're trying to help the individuals. They are not trying to support my pocketbook. That's absolutely, I was hoping that they would change too, but I've come to the conclusion that many of these corporations, many of these so-called, facilities that claimed help, many of them just don't. They're either not equipped to, or the legislation that they're burdened under stops it from happening. If they're, and I know you're not asking, well, you're asking for a care package from legitimate from companies that tell you that's what they're there for. But the social care, I don't know about the other countries, but from the people I've dealt with in Canada, the so-called social care falls drastically short of the help that they claim to give you. And that is a major problem. It needs a revamp on the legislation, on the actual guidance of whoever's in charge of it. It needs a rebuild. But the concept is right. It's just been hamstrung as near as I can piece together. The way I look at it, if I wake up in the morning and I'm still breathing, I'm not pushing daisies, I'm heading the right direction. But I have found some ways to loosen things up, especially where it comes to my legs not working right. One of the drawbacks of actually not paying attention to your health, be it financial, physical, mental, or spiritual, if you don't pay attention to it, if you don't pay attention to it, it will backlog on you. Okay. And the reality of it is that, people have forgotten, the one thing I did notice, humans have let humanity all but die. Humanity being the care and concern for other people. Okay. That has been trained out of people on the whole by being taught fear everything, including the God that you're worshiping. Okay. I encourage you not to fear things. Don't get me wrong. Do not do stupid things. Okay. There are times when a healthy amount of fear is a good idea. One of the obvious ones in my world is you don't approach a wolverine under any circumstance, unless they're so badly hurt they can't move. Because I will tell you, those things are nasty. Okay. I swear they're born grumpy. But they're a beautiful animal. Okay. But it's like Steve Irwin used to go around watching he'd go and take you out to the animals. And he would, he'd poke the animal. Oh, he doesn't like that. Doesn't like that. So I'm going to do it anyway. I'm thinking, really, where's the logic? Unfortunately, it really has that, Raven. And this is something that I am hoping that through this channel, I will be able to help people understand that compassion is one of the most durable strengths available. Okay. Having compassion for people around you, just enough to say hi. I do not mean that you should take all of your hard-earned money and give it away to other people. Okay. You have to take care of you as a priority. Okay. For me, the message is simple, that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. When I hear about people like you, Carl, that you're not getting the support, this is the kind of situation that if I actually had the finances to do it, I would turn around and do it without even thinking. There's an individual I know of that is trying to get a medical procedure done that they don't have the money. Technically it's a voluntary medical procedure, but it's one that is, mentally speaking, absolutely necessary. Journals, how you doing? Glad you could join us. This is something that they really would benefit phenomenally with the mental side of things, with just a little bit of assistance. So what I've decided is, as soon as my estate comes clear and I've got the cash that I can work with, I will be able to actually send them the money and go, this is a gift. This is not a loan. This is not a debt. This is simply go and get this done and get it dealt with. Okay. I find myself the same way there, Carl. That anger does have a tendency of precipitating the idea of closing the doors and going, I've got to take care of me. Absolutely necessary. The thing is that if you take, the thing there, Cliff, if you look at the various cultures around the world, and there's a lot of them, okay, many of these cultures teach the same thing. There's very little difference between them. Thank you so much for that, Raven. It's your guys, it really is your guys' encouragement and support that makes this, and that makes me look forward to coming back on here on a daily basis as much as possible. The one day that it doesn't happen, unless I manage to squeeze in a Thursday morning, is Thursday, because Thursday night I game from about 3:30 at night until late in the night. So that's my time for me. And we still have to have that side. One of the things I was just looking up here, Eris, where you say social workers are also overworked. They absolutely are. I've got clients that used to be social workers, and the complaint they have is they're taught how to identify the problems, and then they're hogtied and they cannot act on them. A prime example is they're taught to spot child abuse. They're taught these are the signs of child abuse. The moment they see them, they report them and they go, we got to get this kid out of there. And then management, because of the way legislation is drawn up, says you can't pull them out because you're just assuming this is going to happen. There's no physical proof. Well, I don't know about you, but I do know about the former childcare workers that I've dealt with, that from their standpoint, that's where they end up going, no, I can't do this anymore. And again, the problem is trying to the problem there, Eris, is that what they're trying to do is they don't have the training, if you will, to be able to spot the ones that really require the help. I mean, I know a chap, he walked in to get medical disability. Okay, that medical disability was, it was literally, he went in to get to the person that determines, are you going to get it? Went in with the doctor's note that says yes. this gentleman has legitimately, he has clinical paranoid schizophrenia. He needs on the system. And the person doing it, that was deciding whether it was real or not, looks at the individual and says, how long are you going to be schizophrenic? 6 months? Now, how do you put somebody in a control position that doesn't to decide on medical disability if they don't know the first thing about the disability side? See, the unfortunate part there, Carl, is sometimes you have to pull a kid out, because I know there was a child I dealt with. And, there will be kids lost in the middle of it. There's no way around it. The legal system has the same problem. There are innocent people who got caught in the crossfire. Okay, but if we continue doing the way we are going to continue having problems. Changes have to be thought through. They've got to be looked at properly. And changes on the way things are being implemented must be altered. You take a look at my company itself. I have done just about nothing with it. Quite often, Carl, that's very much the case. I look at the way that Inner Voice is. I've got things set up where literally, and I've already set the books in motion to do it, where literally at the end of every month, I will take 10% of my net profit. Okay. And you'll understand net means I've covered all my business bills first. I will take 10% of my net profit and sink it into charity, and I'll be able to track it down and go, this is how I did it. I'm not doing it for a tax return. So, this idea of going, I'll get receipts and get it all turned around. Well, there's one reason, I will tell you, journals. There is one reason there's actually two reasons to follow the written law. One, karmic law dictates very clearly you must follow the laws of the land in which you are, aka do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Now, for me personally, where it comes to the written law, it really has more to do, or at least as much to do, with the idea that I don't handle vertical bar time yet very well. Now, I haven't tried it this lifetime, and I intend on keeping it that way. Well, the one thing that I will tell you with the licenses, I agree with you, absolutely. Get a license, know how the traffic works, know how the vehicle laws are. I do know of an individual, and this is why I say things get slipped through. I know of one individual that in Kelowna, we've got a main highway that has 3 lanes going south and 3 going north. Okay. During this one woman's practical test, she turned the wrong way down the highway. So she was going against 3 lanes of traffic. And she still got her license. Well, that's a little different there, Carl. I'm not quite certain how that would work. I do know I'm not likely to drink it. No, never mind, likely to. Not going to happen. Sure you can understand why. But the reality is, I look forward to this. The number of people that we're getting in here is getting bigger and bigger. And it is this method that if we take this message out to everybody out there, okay, that we can start turning this world around and making it a much better place for virtually everybody. It's not going to make everybody happy. There are those that absolutely insist that they should be looked after by everybody, that everybody owes them the world, and that everybody else is to blame for their own choices. Okay, These are just things that you're not going to make people relax of their own accord. Okay. But will I continue? I've been asked, do I do creative writing? You know, do I do creative creative writing services for, with Inner Voice Enterprises? And the answer is it sort of depends, because I'm only just opening that door to see what's possible. Okay, I haven't done it before. I do know I know how to write. That much I've got no problem with. Okay, which is why I will be bringing, like, if I actually get everything organized and get down to Vegas, I will be bringing samples of the books that I've got. I won't be bringing a lot of them, but when I get home, I'll ship out any I get orders for. That's just the way that goes. Carl, to answer that question, and I know this goes against everything people have been told. I know this for a certainty. Number one, where it comes to cancer, it's not a new disease. About 2 years ago, they found cancerous cells in dinosaur bones. Okay, cancer itself is already curable. Okay, I am an absolutely firm believer in this. I had a client years ago that I turned cancer around in their body. Well, more to the point, I reminded their body how to do it. I had no help. I helped them try to remind their body how to correct the problem. We got the cancer out of the system, and the individual lived 17 years longer than the doctor suspected. I'm just looking at this. That's not a problem there, journals. I mean, the reality is this is one of the things that I am striving to do with this particular channel, is deal with some of the things that are, I'm going to call them safe to deal with, because I made a comment one day on one of my videos, and it got pulled because it did not fit with whatever the guidelines were. So I'm very cautious about some topics, but most of them not at all. Most of them I just do insist that people treat each other respectfully. And fortunately, in this room, I have yet to see anybody not do that. The support I see going in the chat, besides the topics, the support I see going back and forth in the chat here is absolutely remarkable. So one of the things that I do look at is if we get enough people understanding, because realize this, the people that are in government, the people that are the so-called elites, when you look at government in a simple fashion, take a city of 100,000 people. Okay, you've got about 5,000 that are working in the government directly. Okay, this leaves 95,000 in any city that are not working for the government. Now, the fact of the matter is the government is necessary. In order for a society of multiple different nationalities and people interests, there is a necessity for a governing body. It has to be there. Okay. The reality of it there, journals, and I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked Raven. Okay. You've got a channel. There's a lot of ways of getting a hold of me down below this video. Get me, if you will, or if you'd like to, get me a copy of get me an email or a channel address, and I will add it to my database so I can pass these on and help you grow your channel at the same time. I will also do my best to drop in. But in all fairness, my time gets really scrambled on occasion. So this is just my way of saying thank you for coming in. especially for those of you that have a channel. For those of you that don't, I'll tell you, it's been your guys' encouragement that has been absolutely the backbone of my continuing things. You know, this is why when I get to the end of a day, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm getting tired. Like, I was starting to get tired right at 3:30 there, and I'm like, I can't go to bed yet. I've got this in this video that I've got, this live feed that I've got to get to. Now, that being said, we are hitting the 2-hour mark here. Actually, we're just passing it, but that's okay. On that note, tomorrow is Monday, so I will be back again tomorrow. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.